When the LA Clippers started out the season 3-7 after going on a 6-game losing streak and falling all the way to 11th in the Western Conference, and this of course after acquiring James Harden in a trade deal from the Philadelphia 76ers, a player who was thought to be that final piece to get this team over the top and winning their franchise's first title. But after that 6-game losing streak and it looking like it was a grave mistake by trading for James Harden, a team that was disorganized, chaotic on offense, guys wanting to get their shots up and what appeared to be struggling to keep their egos in check. But since then, after the Clippers made some adjustments by having Westbrook come off the bench, integrating Zubac and Norman Powell more into the offense, picking up Daniel Tice off the buyout market, who has been solid for them off the bench, the Clippers have now finally seemed to have found their groove, found their identity, and learning how to work together as a team, especially complementing the skills of their big three in Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden. A trio that most of us thought would be a disaster and never be able to work given the fact that they've all been so ball dominant throughout their careers. But the Clippers have turned their season around from looking like a borderline play-in team to now one of the best in the Western Conference. And while you might think, is this team for real though, or are they just going on a nice run in the early stages of the season? Well, we'll talk about why this is more than just a nice stretch for the Clippers and why they should be viewed as legitimate title contenders, and why there really is only one thing stopping them from reaching their true potential, which I'm sure most of you can probably guess what that is. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. About 87% of you watching are not subscribed, and it would mean a great deal to me if you sub to help the channel grow, and in return I'll be providing more NBA content like this. Now, going into the season, we had talked about how this is really the Clippers' last chance to get things right. More or less their last season to finally get over the hump and win a title. Yes, you can maybe extend that for another season, given both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have player options going into next season, and it's possible they opt into the final year of their deal and try one last time to win a championship together. But given they've been going at this for a while now, they've tried multiple different supporting casts, they've had challenges staying healthy, and the furthest they've gotten is the conference finals. Last season they lost in the first round, and pretty badly, losing in 5 games to the Phoenix Suns. Not only that, but James Harden is obviously in the final year of his contract. He'll be an unrestricted free agent this summer. If Kawhi and Paul George decline their player options, which is likely considering they'll be looking for bigger, longer-term deals under the new higher salary cap, so you would effectively have all of your big three becoming unrestricted free agents if you don't reach extension agreements with them earlier, and all three wanting big paydays. And if things don't work out, yet again for the Clippers, you could very well see them move on and this Clippers roster going into a full-blown rebuild, which a rebuild for this team in and of itself would take years considering they've traded away most of their draft picks for the foreseeable future. But that's a different discussion. The point is, the Clippers, this is the Clippers' last chance to get it right. They have to make this season work. And the good news for the Clippers and their fans is it's working, and working even better than most had anticipated. They have won 12 of their last 14 games. They're winning most of these games pretty handily, decisively. Their effort, the energy has completely shifted from what we saw at the start of the season. Guys are sharing the ball better. They're playing with better pace rather than a stagnant offense where one of the big three is simply keeping the ball in their hands and trying to get their shot. Just hear some of these numbers from the Clippers over the last 15 games and how much they have drastically improved since the start of the season. In their last 15 games, they have the second highest win percentage in the league, only behind the Boston Celtics. They have the third highest offensive rating in that span, 5 highest net rating. They're top 10 in the league in points per game. They're the number 1 shooting team from 3, shooting near 40% from deep over those 15 games, second in overall field goal percentage at 51%, and they're the best free throw shooting team in that span, shooting 85% from the line and getting to the line at a high rate. And while I'm sure some will say those numbers aren't going to be sustainable over time, you'll eventually see a regression to the mean from them. But for me, it's not about how efficient the Clippers have been on offense and whether they can stay this hot for the rest of the season. It's the way they're generating offense and getting their looks. They're scoring at all 3 levels, shooting lights out from 3, getting to the bucket at will, and finishing at the rim at a high rate. They can also score from mid-range with 2 of the better mid-range players in the game in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They get to the foul line with ease and are the best free throw shooting team in the NBA. Like, even if some of those percentages go down and the shots aren't falling as frequently, it's the manner in which their offense is being run, moving the ball around, being more dynamic in how they generate offense, going from being in the bottom 5 in assists per game in the NBA to now the middle of the pack. Like, yes, their passing still could be better, but it's gotten drastically better in their last 15 games of the season. And here's the other thing that makes this team so scary based on the way they have perfected their overall offensive system. It's the fact that Kawhi, PG, and James Harden are all healthy, locked in, and playing some of their best basketball. For Paul George and James Harden, they're trying to win their first title. These guys are towards the end of their careers, both in their mid-30s. They know their chance to win a championship is passing them by. And as much as I have criticized James Harden over the years, and I'm still not a fan of him at all as a player and the drama that comes with him, you can't deny that this is the most focused, determined, and motivated we have seen from him since his days with the Houston Rockets. He's obviously not the superstar player he used to be, and he'll never reach those levels again, but he's slowly but surely adapted his game, accepted his role on the Clippers team as a third scoring option, and being more of a facilitator for the guys on the floor. Like really, James Harden has been a big reason for the Clippers' improved passing and ball movement, which has enabled them to get much better looks and be more efficient on offense. And it's crazy to even say this, but James Harden has been playing some of the best defense we've seen in his career, which I know isn't saying much, and it's still not great defense overall, but the fact that Harden is actually trying on that end of the floor, impacting defense in meaningful ways, says a lot about where his head is at and his motivations. But it's not even just the big three. The Clippers have been able to get the most out of their role players, giving them the depth they need to round out the roster. Zubac has been solid. Norman Powell has been great. Westbrook has been very impressive in coming off the bench and accepting a lesser role since they brought in James Harden. Being that main scoring spark and floor general in the second unit has been perfect for Westbrook. Like really, for the Clippers right now, everything is flowing well. The guys are getting along, the vibes are good, and they have steadily made their way up the Western Conference standing, currently sitting 4th in the West. Here's the thing though, and it's really, in my opinion, the only thing stopping this team from making some serious noise in the playoffs. Well, one being the Denver Nuggets, because I'm never going to rule out the defending champions and no one has an answer for Nikola Jokic, but the other is injuries. And while the Clippers have been fortunate enough so far this season to see their big three remain relatively healthy, that could easily change based on the injury history of some of these guys, most notably to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who have been notorious for getting injured at the worst times in the season, either in the playoffs or leading up to the playoffs. And given their ages, Kawhi 32, Paul George 33, Harden 34, it's not out of the question that these guys could get hit with the injury bug at inopportune times and completely derail and take away any hopes of a title. Because they really are going to need all three of them to make a deep run in the playoffs. Like as good as they are individually, or even two of them together, you really need their combined skills, their complementary skills of defense, shooting, playmaking, and also just having the presence of all three of them on the court to always keep defenses guessing and never being able to double team them at a risk of leaving one of the other ones open. So while I love what we've been seeing from the Clippers over the past month or so, and I do believe if they remain healthy, they will be one of the title favorites, but the biggest thing giving me pause is whether these guys will actually be able to stay healthy for a whole season, especially come playoff time after a long, grueling year. What do you guys think though? How far do you see this Clippers team going this season? Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.